Hello, visibility hackers, and welcome to this week's episode of The Live Show. I'm your host, Coach Molly from visibilityhacking.com, and this week we're switching it up just a little bit because we've been working on some really cool things behind the scenes in the visibility hacking world, and I kind of want to show you guys. So we're going to switch it up. Stay on with me, or buckle in your seatbelt, keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times, and enjoy the ride. So as per usual, let's kick off this episode by starting with a little bit of an update of what's been happening in the visibility hacking world this week, or this past couple weeks. Last week we were off because here in Canada it was Family Day, a great holiday, a great reason to not sit in front of our computers, to get up, get outside, and spend time with our loved ones. So that's why we didn't have an episode last week. This week we're going to shake it up. We're going to give you a over the shoulder of something new. I've been teasing it, but this is what I've majorly been working on in the last couple of weeks. And I am going to need your input and your feedback when we're designing and building this out. So I'm about to show you something that I'm really excited about, but it's not in its final stages. It will still continue to evolve. So yay, that's exciting. And then another cool thing that happened that started on Friday, it actually officially kicks off today on Monday, but on Friday, in our last Friday Night Live episode, a whole group of us decided that we were going to keep each other accountable to creating regular, intentional, daily content for our businesses and our movements and for our people. And so officially we call ourselves Team Loud. So get excited for when you see lots of Team Loud posts on my feed and on the feeds of some of our awesome visibility hackers. And this is a challenge that's open to anyone. You can start at any point if you are interested in joining us. All we do is we have a lovely little Facebook Messenger group. We keep each other accountable. We got some fun stuff going on in there. So you can feel free to join us. All you have to do is let me know down in the comments, and I will gladly get you into our group. Our goal currently is to be able to produce that intentional content every single day until the end of March. But I think we're going to reevaluate that and just keep going as long as we can. We're trying to build up streaks. We're trying to build a habit of creating that regular content, because when you're starting out, it can be really hard to think of those ideas for content, especially when you can feel really discouraged when you're putting out content that you've spent a lot of time crafting and kind of launches out to crickets, right? So we've got this lovely group put together. So you're welcome to join us. Let me know down in the comments. But without further ado, let's kick this off with our quote of the week. Our quote of the week comes from the one and only Margaret Cho, and it is the power of visibility can never ever be underestimated. And I want you to take this to heart. I want you to know that if you're not showing up, if you're not being intentionally visible with your business, with your movement, with your products, with your services, with the solutions that you provide for your people, well, you're not playing the game right. Because if someone has said this to me in the past, and it's kind of like if you had the cure for cancer and you didn't tell anyone about it, what would be the point in having the cure? Think about it like that. Think about your business that way. So say you help people with chronic pain, and you help them get moving, and you help them live a better life. Well, if you are not being 100% visible, if you're not putting in that intent to be as visible as you possibly can be to reach all of those customers who are living and experiencing that chronic pain, then you're not living up to your potential as an entrepreneur. Say you help people with their fitness journey and you help them take control of their health again. Say you help other entrepreneurs and other business owners be better at their processes and be able to provide better service for their people. Say you help people build communities. Whatever it is that you do, it is your duty and responsibility to get that message out as loud as you can. Be as intentionally visible as you possibly can. And that's what I want you to remember for today. So the power of visibility can never, ever, ever be underestimated. Let's kick off this episode. Oh my goodness, visibility hackers. This episode is going to be different than what we are used to doing here in the visibility hacking world, and I'm really excited to share this with you. My favorite thing to do is to build shows. I know we have these fancy elevator pitches for different segments of our audience and whatever, but TLDR, too long didn't read, we build shows. We build connection machines, ways of finding our ideal customers as well as nurturing those who are already in our worlds at the same time. It's pretty brilliant. But I have to tell you, I've been working with a couple customers who have been starting from absolute zero. We are helping them start their business as well as build that visibility machine. And the difference is kind of shocking of what I've realized. And there can be a lot of overwhelm when you're building your business, right? Like you have to wear all of these different hats, as I always tell you guys. And sometimes you're like, but I just want to be a personal trainer. I just want to work one-on-one with my clients. That's why I got into this industry. But now as an entrepreneur, I have to do that. Plus I have to be the booking clerk and I have to do HR and I have to also be the person who does all the marketing and I have to be the face of the company. And that's really overwhelming. And now you're sitting down with me and I'm telling you we have to build you a show. And all of the things that go into that, the overwhelm is real. I've worked with customers who are putting like $250,000 into the setup of their business. So a completely different group of customers we're talking about here. And they're putting in tons of money, tons of resources, tons of energy and effort into their businesses. And they too are experiencing that overwhelm. And that is the biggest roadblock, even for our customers who we've built shows for. It's whether or not they actually press record, whether or not they actually show up for their shows. We've built them the vehicle. We've built them the incredible design, all of their logos and all of that stuff has been done, but they just need to show up. They just need to show up for their people and share their message. And it's the overwhelm that stops them in that case. And so today, that's why we're going to switch things up and I'm going to give you a look at something that we've been building so you can get an idea of what it looks like behind the scenes. Now, when it comes to dealing with that overwhelm, I want you to take on two different strategies. Two strategies that have worked for me, they've worked for my clients, and they've worked for people in my mentoring groups as well. And those two strategies, first, is to break down that thing that is giving you that overwhelm into bite-sized chunks, into step by step. Think of it like your yellow brick road to success. Each and every one of those bricks in the road, you have to place there for your people. And so when it comes to building out a show, for example, a big connection machine like this, there is a lot that you see going on. There's music, there's graphics, there's moving graphics, there's motion graphics, there's intros and outros, there's content, there's format, there's planning, there's guests, there's interview questions, there's pre-show follow-up, post-show follow-up systems for your customers and for the experts you're bringing onto your show to deepen those connections. There is a lot that you have to do. So if you look at it as, look at what people are doing, I want to recreate that for myself. And I've seen people doing this. They are seeing what we're doing and they're trying to recreate it, but they're only able to see the surface level. They're only able to see pretty graphics. And they don't think about the rest of the system. They don't know to look for the rest of the system. So, strategy number 2, to help you understand and uncover what you really need to be doing to break it down task by task, strategy number 2 is to find a mentor, someone who can help you see what you don't even know to look for. Seriously, someone was showing me a funny photo on their phone recently. And they were laughing and laughing. It was an alligator on the land next to a person who was paddleboarding. But the person who was on the paddleboard had such a ridiculous thing going on up here. Crazy wigs, things like that. That's where my eye went. That's what I was focusing on. I wasn't even looking for the alligator. I didn't even know to look for the alligator until the person who showed me the photo was like, no, 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 this is about the alligator. Check that out. I didn't even know to look for that. And I know that's a really simple example when we're talking about things that are much, much bigger, but that's the reason why we as entrepreneurs love to go to personal development conferences, and we love the self-help books, and we know that we need to be learning every day. We do all of that stuff, but sometimes we're not looking in the right direction. We're not asking the right questions. We're not actually trying to recreate the right part of the framework. And so today I'm going to show you a little bit behind the scenes of what it looks like to build a show like this. Because yes, it can feel really overwhelming in the building stage, but once you have it all built out, it runs rather seamlessly. So if you are interested in checking out behind the scenes of the newest Visibility Hacking Network show that we'll be bringing to you as soon as it is finished, definitely let me know down in the comments. So without further ado, let's get to it. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the showcase. This is where we're going to be looking at specific types of content that can be used as vehicles for connection. Maybe we're not entirely building out shows per se in this show, but we are going to look at specific content creators, types of content, things that we can recreate in our own businesses. And we're going to look at the formats and the frameworks that happen in these shows, and then look at how we can reproduce those for our own businesses, regardless if you sell services or products or whatnot. So every week will be a different theme, either a different content creator or a different type of content, or if you're part of our visibility hacking community and you join us on Friday night lives, we'll also be working with some of our most involved visibility hackers, and looking at specific types of content that need to happen in their businesses. So if you are, if you're a business owner, or you're an entrepreneur, or you're a digital nomad, and you think, my business doesn't translate well to a show, well, then you are the people we want to talk to, because there's content that works for everyone. And we don't talk about slimy content. We're talking about intentional content for connection. So yeah, that's what the showcase is all about. So welcome. These are our new graphics. I'm pretty excited. There's way more scenes involved in this show that I will dive in, and I'll show you actually layer by layer how this whole thing works. But I wanted to introduce you first to the graphics. Second is to this lovely lady over here. She's our mascot, and she doesn't have a name yet. So we need your help as visibility hackers to name the lady. We don't know what she's going to be called just yet, but she is there to help us see the way. Help us see the way of where we need to be going in this digital space, in this digital world. So without further ado, I know I've said that a few times this episode, but whatever, it's my show. Let's dive into OBS, and I'll show you layer by layer how this scene is set up, because it's actually kind of cool. Welcome inside of my OBS. This is the program that I like to use. It's a step above StreamYard. StreamYard is absolutely fantastic. It's really great for working with remote guests and stuff like that, doing really quick content, low barrier to entry. I like to do things a little bit fancier. So I'm going to show you some of the tricks that we can do here in OBS. So first off, OBS, Open Broadcast Software, is available absolutely free. And that is why I love it. It is such a powerful tool, but what's really great about it is it's free. And there are tons of different plugins and things that you can add to really make this a customized experience for you and your brand, but you don't have to use any of those fancy plugins. I don't use any of those fancy plugins. I just use this to add my camera, add my graphics, add my microphone, maybe have some sound and whatnot as well. And you can make some really, really cool, both live video content and recorded video content. So let's look at what we see here on the screen. So at the top here where I am, Hi, everyone. This is going to be this is your canvas, what people are seeing. So the way that this works is by layering different items together. It's kind of like each layer of this show is going to be painted on its own piece of glass. And then we stack all those pieces of glass together, all the clear stuff you can't see, and all you're left with are the layers on layers on layers. It's kind of fun. If you've used any graphic editing software before, you're familiar with this concept of layers in order to create your final canvas. And we can see those layers down in the corner over there. So down here in the corner, you can see with my mouse here, there are a selection of different scenes. These are the different screens that we're going to see. The next one over is your sources. So right now, in this canvas that you guys see, we have a series of sources. One of them is my microphone. Another one, I'll just close them off so you guys can see them. So one of them is this logo. Another one is the frame around my camera. One would be the camera itself. One would be this text at the bottom of the screen, as well as our lovely host and the background image. Each of those are individual layers that we've placed together. Now, if I were to take, let's say, the logo and move it so that it's lower in this hierarchy down here at the bottom, it actually can fold behind items. So right now it's on top of the background, but it's behind my webcam and the frame. Instead, I'm going to move it back up to where it was, and now you can see that it's perfectly layered appropriately. So that's the simple way that this works. Now we can make this more and more complicated by adding in lots of different things. So I'm going to show you something because I know that some of our visibility hackers have been specifically asking how to do this. I've been doing it for a few seasons of my various shows. We started using it in Visibility Check Season 3, I think, when we started using these round masks, they're called, for our cameras. Now, we do them with round masks because, well, I like the simplicity of a circle, but you can actually create your frame, your mask in any shape that you'd like. You just have to do it in like Canva or in Photoshop or in, I think you can even do them in Illustrator if you want to use Illustrator. But you want to first create the design of your show. I like to sketch it out. I have a whole notebook devoted just to designs of shows. When I'm looking around at inspiration, I'll sketch those out as well. And then from there, you have an idea of what shapes you're going to need. What colors are you going to need? What layers are you going to need? So here in this show, we have our background that's going to be the same for every scene, no matter if we're looking at just me on camera or if we go into our teaching screens as well. All of those are options that are available. And it all starts with a sketch. Then we have our logos, and you'll see in different scenes how our logo will float around differently. We also like to have our social profiles available because when people are scrolling through your feed, it's not just the first second that they see, right? They might pop in halfway through an hour-long piece of content, but we still want to show them first our branding. We want them to stop in their tracks by creating something visually that is different than what they're seeing on their screen. And if they're just scrolling and they're not necessarily listening, we want them to at least see where they can get more information. Maybe they're in the middle of a commute and they don't actually have the attention span at that moment to dive deep into your whole piece of content, but they are intrigued and they do want to know more. So you're giving that invitation to them as well. So that's what this pretty screen looks like. So let's adventure around and look at how this whole same layer situation happens throughout different screens. And then I'll show you the face cam thing. So we have this first main screen, which is going to be where I introduce the episodes, where I talk about what we're talking about and I summarize the theme for the week. Then we have this second screen, with a cool transition, of course. This screen is going to be where I have specific calls to action to follow us on our socials. That's the last part of this screen that I have to edit and have to create. But that's what this one is. I think it looks pretty friggin' cool. Then we're going to dive into two different screens that are going to look like this that have two different frameworks. We're going to break down the framework of the piece of content we're looking at for that episode, but then this is also the wider framework. So let's walk through it together. Step number one when you're creating a show is to calibrate your format and to make sure that you're serving value. This is where we do our research. This is where we look at what other people are creating content-wise. This is what this showcase is all about, is examining other content and creating that calibrated format that fits specifically for our type of business and our movement and our customers. Step two is then to make sure that we're aligning that messaging with the audience. It means we've done the work that Jim does with us, where we figure out who our customer avatar is, and then we make sure that we're creating messages and we're creating content that speaks directly to that customer avatar. We're not trying to talk to everyone. We're trying to talk to our people. Then step three is to create your branded experience, which is part of what we're talking about today, looking at how we actually bring our brand to life, how we breathe life into it in terms of what it looks like on our screen. How are we going to stop the scroll? And a lot of it has to do with being eye-catching, creating this experience. Maybe your brand is a lot more chill and a lot more like Sunday fun day, where you're not going to be as bold with your graphics as this show, for example, where instead you might have more of a serene vibe. You might have low key colors and branded fonts and whatnot that speaks more to your brand than to this loud and in your face brand that we're putting out here with the showcase. Step four is to hype up and actually launch your episode. Each and every episode should be launched like it's the first, which is exciting. It doesn't need to be a huge drawn out process. It can just be a few posts throughout the week to hype people up with what you're going to be talking about for that episode. But you can't just create an episode in silence. You need to get people's attention. You need to let them know that this piece of content is about to be served up. So that's why we focus on step four. And then step five is actually creating engaging content on your show. And we can show you how to do that in other episodes, but you can actually find a lot of great information on connecting to guests, on inviting them to your show, on how to ask better questions, all of that, as well as how to be on other people's shows. I have tons of videos about that stuff on the Visibility Hacking YouTube channel. So go check that one out and then continue on with this episode. Step six is how we actually use our shows to connect with the audience and to grow our network. There are things that we have to be doing when our show goes live in order to actually have the impact we're looking for. So that's what this format is about. But we're also going to show this same page without those graphics on the board, where we're going to show it at the end of the episode, where we break down the piece of content we were looking at, so that you can recreate it for yourself. So that's what this page is all about, which I think is fun. One thing that I'm going to be adding is down at the bottom of this camera here, I'm going to add in a name bar so that you can see my name, because right now, who knows who I am? And then this episode is where, or this scene, I should say, is where we're going to do most of our teaching. So if you've been a visibility hacker before, you know that I love to show you live content while we're talking on our shows. And so that's what this scene is about. So we have me down here. I can still teach you guys. I'm still engaging. And in this larger rectangle up here, that's going to be a screen share. So the way I have it set up here is you can see that it is set up as a window capture. That is a window capture for another browser window. So say I'm looking at something on YouTube, or I'm looking at a blog article or whatnot, and I have that up on my second monitor, I can pull that screen share into this show. So I can be talking about what I'm showing on screen as well. We can also, in OBS, we can change that from being a screen share to being a window share. So you can share multiple windows on one screen. You can share just a video clip, for example, if that lives on your hard drive. There's so many different options of what is possible. It all starts with sketching it out, though, and thinking about what is the intent of your show. What are you trying to show people or teach people? How can they best take in this information? And I say this because, let's go back to the big screen for a sec. I say this because if one of our visibility hackers, for example, she teaches Tai Chi, and that means her show needs to look very different than my show. My show, I'm sitting in a chair. I'm purposely trying to not move a lot. I know I talk with my hands a lot. I squeak my chair, I lean back, things like that. But when you're teaching Tai Chi, you need to not crop your frame as tight as it is here. You need to instead show head to toe or toes to nose, as I like to say. This requires a different camera than what this show is. This show is all about showing you other stuff. It's kind of like we're hanging out on our computers together. Whereas a Tai Chi show is a completely different setup. Same with people teaching fitness or yoga even. It requires you to put your camera in a completely different place relative to where you're sitting. It requires maybe even a different lens on your camera. There's so much different for that type of content than what I'm showing you here, which is so much fun. So anyways, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. So creating a mask is actually really, really simple. So creating a mask like this is actually really simple. And I'm going to show you how to do it in Canva. So over here, you're going to go into your Canva and you're going to create a new design. For this shape of camera, I'm going to start with an Instagram post because it's square. That's the only reason. I'm going to go up to elements and go into shapes. This is the simplest way to do it. There are more complicated ways. And I'm going to pick a shape that I like. And I want to keep in mind that we are looking for a whole shape. We're not looking just for a frame. So if I were to select one of these shapes where it's just the outline, this won't work. Our camera will only show up in that outline. Instead, we want a solid shape. So let's be cute and pick a star. I'm going to make this star bigger so it fills up as much of the space in here as we can, but we don't want it to touch the borders. This is something I've learned recently. If it touches the borders, it's going to screw everything up. So what we do now, we have our shape, it's the right size. We've picked our shape, it's the right size, and now we're going to change the color of it to black. Simple. Now, this is something that you can only do with a Canva Pro account, but I like to export this graphic as a transparent background PNG. Or what you can do is save it with a white background and a black star, and then you'll just have to tweak a couple things when you bring it over into OBS. So let's save this or download this. Do it as a transparent background. We don't need to name it for now. And so that I don't screw stuff up on here, I am going to duplicate this. We're going to call it practice screen. And then I'm also going to add in a different webcam. So I'm going to disappear from here, but you can still see me on the side of the screen here. We're also, just for confusion's sake, going to turn off the face frame circle there. That is something we can teach you in a different day. What we're going to do is, so now what we're going to do is go to our sources down here, and we're going to add a new webcam. So I'm going to add a media source. We're going to call this Star Cam, and we're going to create new. From here, oh, wait, no, I did the wrong one. Oh, no, cancel. Star Cam, disappear. So what we're going to do now that we have our clean screen, we're going to add in our webcam or whatever camera you're using. So I'm going to press plus, and I'm going to say add in a video capture device. From here, yes, webcam is the one we just removed, but because all of the layers and effects that we are going to put on, that I'm going to show you how to do, are already on the webcam device, we're going to start from scratch. So that's why we're just going to call this StarCam, so that I don't get them confused. Because once you set this up once on OBS, you can then use the same source in all of your different scenes, and all of those pre-arranged colors or shapes or whatever are going to show up. So we're going to call it StarCam. We're going to select the device to be, let's just use my webcam for now. Hello, how are you? We're going to do two things. First thing, we're going to add in that star shape. So we're going to double click. No, we're not. We're going to single click on our StarCam, and then we're going to go over here to where it says filters. There are so many different filters we can use. It's really cool. Down here at the bottom where it says effect filters, we're going to press the plus sign, and we're going to apply a image mask or blend. From here, we're going to press browse and select that star shape. And here we're going to select alpha mask, and look, I'm showing up only in the star. Isn't that cool? It's so simple to do. Even if you had Photoshop, for example, you could take your brush tool and just make a squiggly line, and then your camera can show up there as well. It's pretty simple, pretty cool. So let me show you something else that you can do. So here you can see that I have my green screen up, but we don't want my green screen to show. We want that to be filtered out a little bit. So we'll go back into our filters, we'll add another filter, but this time we're going to add what's called a chroma key. We'll select that, and then we'll make sure it's selected to green. Now you can see behind me that the chroma key, the green, has kind of disappeared. So we can fiddle with that a little bit. And now you can see that that part of my star is actually blank. Pretty cool. Sometimes it's the effect that you're looking for. Sometimes it's not. But green screens are one of my favorite tools to use when it comes to designing your show, designing a show that has impact. So that, my friends, is all I have to say about building your show in that way. You can see here on StreamYard, I have my green screen going as bright red right now. So there are so many different things that you guys can do with your shows, and I cannot wait to see what you guys start designing and building. That was pretty cool, I think, you guys. So my hot tip for you guys this week is to make sure that you are starting with a plan. Whether you're creating intentional content that is a written post with a cool graphic, or you're creating something a lot more complex like a live show. Whatever you're creating, I want you to make sure that you start with a plan. Don't start by seeing something that you're really inspired by and trying to copy it. Because if you don't understand what's happening on the front end invisible and on the back end invisible, then you are wasting your time and you're not getting the same impact. Instead, what I want you to do is find those places of inspiration. Be inspired by them. Write down literally what it is in that stream that you're enjoying. What is it? Is it camera angles? Is it sounds? What part of what we call the scenes framework is it that is finding inspiration with you? Then I want you to sketch it out. Anything is possible. We have the ability to make things that are really fun and really different. So go start your sketches, go plan that all out, and we will see you very, very soon. My final thoughts for you this week are to make sure, A, that you're planning it out, B, that you're being intentional. Be intentional about every single piece of content you are putting out into the world. Don't just show up for the sake of showing up, because that's just posting for the sake of posting. That's adding to the noise. That is driving people to stop following you, to opt out of your list, to no longer find value in the content that you're putting out there. Being intentional about the content you're creating is going to help you not only connect to your dream customers, but to also start bringing them into your world. You become the expert. You become known for whatever it is that you talk about. So if you spend most of your time creating content that's about what you ate for breakfast every morning, but you're helping people with their financial planning and you're not helping them create that bridge of why showing pictures of your breakfast are helping with their financial resources, they're going to not see that connection and they're going to start walking away. Because if they're looking for a solution that has to do with their bank account, without the bridge to help them understand why pictures of your breakfast are going to help them with that, they're not going to see that. They're going to walk away. So find those connections, find those bridges, share your movement, share your journey with your people. Maybe you already know what the objections or the challenges that your potential customers are going through. Well, create content around that. Create content that helps them address those. Are there stories that have happened in your head or stories that have happened in your life that can help you explain and help you share a different perspective for your customers and for your viewers? That's what I want you to think about. So again, you are also invited to join us for Team Loud. Let me know in the comments if you are interested in joining us for that. Shout outs to all of my visibility hackers already in Team Loud. Getting excited because today is day one. We are posting lots of fun stuff. So check out my profile for today's photo. Check out the other visibility hackers for their profiles. Join us over in the Visibility Hacking Facebook group. If you aren't already in there, head over to visibilityhacking.com. Click the link at the top of the page that says Become a Visibility Hacker, and we will see you on the other side. Until I see you again, we'll see you Friday, 8 p.m., Friday Night Live. Until then, remember, I love you. Be excellent to each other. Just go live.